Hey guys, welcome back to the main channel. Today I'm going to do a quick review about a new knife purchase I just made. I've been recently getting into high-end knives and quality made knives by different manufacturers, and this is my most recent purchase here. This is the SpyderCo Paramilitary 2 with the Maxamet steel, and oddly enough, this is my first SpyderCo. I've always kind of shied away from the SpyderCos, mainly because I never really liked the blade shape of them, the sheep's foot design. I never really liked that. I never really liked the thumb hole. The whole design of the knife itself I really didn't find appealing. But as time went on, the more knives I got into, the more, I guess, open I became to SpyderCo, and I'll talk more about what I didn't like, what I do like about the knife. And I know there's a bunch of videos out there already on the SpyderCo, the paramilitary, so I'm just going to give a quick overview of the details about the knife. It has G10 handles. This one is gray. I don't know if it looks kind of blue in the light, but this is definitely a gray color. Like I said earlier, it has a Maxamet steel on it. It's a new steel for this year. I guess everyone's been going crazy about it. Kind of went out on an edge here, no pun intended, getting this knife, because I usually tend to stick to steels that I know, like S30V, S35VN, CM154, you know, those kind of steels. I kind of stick with what I know, you know, and I think it's safe to say most of us tend to do that. But I saw the knife, I picked it up. Oddly enough, this is the first knife I picked up, and I bought it. And I looked at the blade, and I said, well, what kind of steel's on it? And the guy told me, well, it's Maxamet. So I was doing some research, and I was looking up into Maxamet, and I came across a couple articles here on different forums and a couple articles on SpyderCo forums saying that Maxamet is basically a step above or very similar to S110 in regards to edge retention. Apparently this kind of steel here is very, very hard. It will keep an edge for a very, very long time. The only thing different between Maxamet and, say, an S110 would be Maxamet is actually a tool steel and not a stainless, so meaning it will rust if it's not taken care of. I haven't seen anybody or heard of anybody saying that, oh yeah, my blade's been rusty or anything, and there's been quite a few people who's had other Maxamet steel blades and they don't have any problems with theirs, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, it has a compression lock, which is basically a reverse liner lock. Instead of the liner lock being down here, it is here on the top. So, and it functions just the same. You just push it down and close the blade. Now, the reason I bought this knife, out of all the SpyderCos that they have, of all the SpyderCos that I've held and played with and you know, got a chance to see and hold and touch, I bought this one because right away the action is just so smooth. Probably one of the smoothest actions I've ever felt on a knife. I mean, when you can pick it up and it's just flies open like that, you know, it's almost like there's no resistance whatsoever opening this blade. Closing it is also a dream. I guess you could compare it to the way the 940s close. You just kind of hold it here, you know, hit the compression lock, and it falls right down. So it's nice, easy one-handed opening, easy one-handed closing. What else here? I guess the reasons I never liked SpyderCo was just the shape of them. Like this thumb hole here is actually, it's more of a double-edged sword, if you will. When the knife is closed, as you can see, it adds a lot of width to the knife, which I never really liked. I kind of like my knives skinnier, thinner, kind of like the ZT-0452, which by the way is a very nice knife, extremely smooth action, very beautiful grind on it, almost a mirror grind on this blade. This action is probably the second best action I've ever felt on a knife. But as you can see, I like my knives a lot more streamlined. You know, if this hump were not here, and if it would just go straight down this way, this knife would be almost, you know, perfect for me. But like I said, I've grown on to SpyderCo. I've kind of grown to like this little thumb hole. Like I said, it's more of a double-edged sword, if you will, because not only does it add the bulk to the knife, makes the knife more, adds to the width, I guess you could say. It's also nice because it aids in the opening. You know, you tip up, carry, you pull the knife out of your pocket, your middle finger's already here, flick it open, and your middle finger just kind of falls right down where it should be. So it's really nice. And the thumb hole aids in like a thumb rest here, a little thumb ramp. Very excellent. Dimping up here, by the way. There's also some dimping down here on the bottom. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I kind of stayed away from SpyderCo, is this little hole. I never really liked it. Added too much width. But now that I own one and have been playing with it, I kind of actually grown to like it. It's easy opening. It's pretty nice. The other thing I never really liked about SpyderCo was their grind or blade shape. I never was a big fan of the sheep foot design. I feel like if I'm going to go with a blade kind of like this, I'd rather go with a reverse tanto like the 940. Just to me, it's a little more aesthetically pleasing, I guess you could say. I never really liked how they have a, what I know there's a proper term for it. I don't know it. I believe it's called a flat grind, I guess. But I mean, I call this, it's more like a double wedge type of blade, I guess, if you will, if you can follow that. Because I mean, it starts thick up here at the top of the blade, up at the swedge-ish area. It's pretty thick up here, and it's a consistent, you know, decline in angle all the way to the secondary bevel down here. It's just one straight angle, and same coming from the back of the knife to the front of the knife. It starts thick and goes very thin up to the front. Not very thin. I don't see this knife ever breaking, or any SpyderCos ever breaking, but I never really liked that, you know. I can tell that this knife is going to be good for slashing, cutting, slicing, stabbing, just the way the blade shape is ground, I guess. It's going to be very easy to cut things, very easy to, you know, stab things with this knife. Not that I ever tend on stabbing anybody or anything, but it's kind of where I see this knife excelling at. What else can I say about it? A pet peeve I have of this knife in particular is the dimping down here on the finger troil area here. They have some dimping here on top of the blade, but I feel like SpyderCo should really dimp this G10 scales here, so you can get a good full purchase on it. Because when you're holding it with your finger is really actually putting more pressure on the G10 scales down here than up here. So if I could make one change on this knife, it would be that, just to add some dimping here. Oh, and the pocket clip, I would definitely change the pocket clip to a deep carry pocket clip. That's just what I prefer. You are going to have from here up sticking out of your pocket, so about from my pointer finger up is what you'll see hanging out of your pocket. I like knives with deep pocket clips. Everybody knows what those are, you know, knives that come all the way up, or pocket clips that come all the way up to the top, so the entire knife sits in your pocket and very little is showing. Those are really my only two complaints about the knife. Everything else, like I said, I love it. The action is just butter smooth, easy to operate, one-handed, very sharp looking, very, very slick. Yeah, those are basically my only two complaints, is going to be the pocket clip and the demping up here. Oh, one minor thing I guess I should note. It's not a big deal. I mean, I know it can happen to anybody. From the factory, though, they have this in a tip down carry. So when I went to change the pocket clip to tip up carry, one of those screws was already stripped, and I had to grind out a little slot in it so I can fit a flathead screwdriver in there and take that screw out. Not a big deal. SpyderCo sends you free screws if you request them, and I did, so it's not a big deal. At first I thought the screw holes were stripped, but they weren't, thank God. Well, that would be my only pet peeve, my own little thing I guess I should note about the knife. I guess I'll show some blade comparisons, how big in size it is. Here's a ZT-0452, an absolutely huge knife, by the way. This knife is just absolutely massive. There's that next to the SpyderCo. Not too bad. Here's it next to a Gerber Covert Auto. Again, a little smaller than the Gerber Covert, and this is actually one of my smaller blades that I have, 3.5-inch blade. I'm a bigger blade kind of guy. I don't really like the smaller blades, even though I probably would get just as much use out of them. The Benchmade AFO2, this is my all-time favorite automatic right here. They're about similar in size on this blade here. Unfortunately, in my state, I cannot carry an automatic. This is probably my all-time favorite automatic knife. And last but not least, my very first high-end, if you will, carry knife is my Kaiser. It's even smaller than that. So this is a good everyday carry knife. I see myself having absolutely no problems whatsoever with this SpyderCo Paramilitary. I think the blade's going to hold up just fine. But if I have any problems or anything else that comes up, I will definitely make another video, inform you guys. Don't be too hard on me. This is my first knife review. Not really proficient at knife reviews yet. But if you liked it, if you want to see more, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. And I will see you guys in the next video.